Hey guys, good morning. I guess there's a lot going on at the moment. I'm in Melbourne, Victoria, and anyone who's living here at the moment knows that as of tomorrow midnight, things can start to reopen again, but with the provision of that people adhere to the essentially vaccine mandates. There's a lot of people talking about, like, can I get an exemption and things like that. There's not a lot of reasons you can get a legal exemption, which I think is ridiculous. I'm not for... it should be freedom of choice. Anyway, I don't want to bang on too much about that issue. Sorry, just getting pop-ups. It's a whole other rabbit hole to go down. What I am talking about is the actual legal exemption to be able to get not a temporary, because it's two different. So there's a temporary 6-month exemption or deferral, I think they're calling it. And there's also a permanent exemption. So there's pretty much one reason that they're giving to people, giving I've lost my words. They're giving the exemption to, and that is for a allergy in the form of anaphylaxis. So it's a pretty severe allergy. Anyone who has anaphylaxis or knows anyone with anaphylaxis, or just sort of, went to school, I knew a kid that had a peanut allergy, and sometimes the schools would ban peanuts, entirely because of this one kid, because anaphylaxis is life-threatening. Now, when you have anaphylaxis, you know how horrible it is to go through an anaphylactic shock. You also don't know how you're going to be after each reaction. The more your body reacts, it lowers your immune system chance of recovery each time. It can sort of build up. I know, I've been stabbed multiple times with EpiPens. Sometimes they work a treat, sometimes they don't. This is why when you have an anaphylactic reaction, regardless of how severe it is, you have to go into hospital to be monitored. I've had some where I've passed out, lost all consciousness, woken up, pretty much lost all function of my body, couldn't see, couldn't breathe, a couple other things that weren't so great, and was, next thing I know, when I woke up, was getting put on a stretcher and taken to a hospital. That was from an injection, not a vaccination, but it was from a cortisone injection. Not the first time I've reacted to a cortisone shot. I've had other ones where it's been a bit, I've actually said to the paramedic, do you have to really stab me? And they're like, yeah, we do, because this could progress very quickly. Fair enough. Sort of happens. You just don't know. I know people who have been stabbed 5 times and they keep getting resurgences. That's why you have to go in for monitoring. So anyway, with this allergy, in particular relating to the COVID vaccinations, if you've got an allergy to any ingredient in the vaccinations, you're legally allowed to get a medical exemption. Now, people that can issue this are your GP or someone who's registered as a fellow, a gynecologist, obstetrician, clinical immunologist. They can legally give them. And it's a very rare condition to have this particular allergy that I do have. I was diagnosed 6 years ago with it at the Austin Hospital. The allergy is to an excipient called polyethylene glycol. Basically, it's in everything. It's in most friggin' like beauty products even. There's other substances I'm severely allergic to. Another one is macrogol, which is a form of polyethylene glycol, different forms of magnesium, citric acid. Pretty much I have to eat like whole foods as well, because I also have cross-reactivity with avocado, latex, kiwi fruit, banana, all these other weird sort of things. There's a lot of cross-reactivity with certain components. So polyethylene glycol, which also is in both the Moderna vax and the Pfizer vax, has a cross-reactivity with a component of the AstraZeneca called polysorbate 80. Not to mention there are other additives in all of these vaccines. I recently had a procedure that left me unable to walk for a month. It was an injection as well. The issue is once something's in your body like that, you can't really get it out. It's pretty friggin' hard. My doctors were amazing. They triple checked that the injection didn't contain any of my known allergens. However, I still had a reaction. Took about 4 weeks to be able to walk again. I had severe neuropathy. I couldn't walk. And basically they were just like, it was possibly to a preservative. But we don't know what it is. We need to get you in to see an allergist. Now, given what's going on at the moment, all the allergy clinics are booked out. I've seen public allergy clinics in the past. I'm trying to see a private one. The wait is 12 months. I've also been diagnosed with a connective tissue disorder and also a condition where my mast cells overreact to everything. So basically everything is like a threat to my body. It freaks out. Now, that's a little bit of a background on me. I've gone to see my GP to request the exemption. I've got all the documentation, and that has come from actually the Austin hospital saying I'm severely allergic. I've got my medical alert card. This girl is not allowed to have any of these items put into her body, near her body, on her skin. Plus, I've got all my recent documents saying that I'm clearly, from my other specialist, saying I'm reacting to other things. I have to be super vigilant and super careful about everything that goes into my body or on my skin. Went to my GP, asked for the medical exemption. She's basically said, no, she's not going to give it to me. Now, I've written a little letter that I've been sending around to some people to try and get this story out there, because I'm not the only one who, one, has this type of allergy, and two, this is happening to. I just thought it would be easier to read my email. So apologies that I'm going to be looking away from the screen a bit, but I'm sort of like, this isn't really natural for me, tripping over my own words a little bit. So I'm just going to read it. It's a bit more concise. I also found out that this morning I heard this is also happening to another woman who's also pregnant, which is pretty alarming. But anyway, this is just to try and get my story out there. If anyone else is going through the same thing, feel free to contact me, because clearly our voices aren't getting heard. So recently the ABC covered a story about rare cases for obtaining a legal medical exemption to the COVID vaccines. They interviewed a few people who have a rare allergy to excipients found in most pharmaceuticals, self-care products, and some foodstuffs. The particular excipient is called polyethylene glycol, or PEGs for short. The allergy is severe, resulting in anaphylaxis. This excipient is found in both the Moderna vaccine and Pfizer. AstraZeneca contains an excipient called polysorbate 80, known to have cross-reactivity to those allergic with PEGs. I got dealt the lucky hand of bubble girl at birth, born with a connective tissue disorder and having the rare PEGS anaphylaxis allergy, alongside a multitude of other excipients of food items. Due to this, I have to be extra vigilant in knowing every compound in everything that I either ingest, inject, or use topically, and if it contains a substance I am unaware of, how my body may respond to, it is best to avoid it. Recently, I underwent a procedure that caused a reaction, leaving me unable to walk for a month, although triple checked to not contain my allergens. Seemingly, I was still allergic to something no one has yet worked out. Mind you, these were injections. So to clarify, not anti-vax, I'm not anti-pharma, any of that sort of stuff. But I do need to be very careful with all pharmaceuticals and just food for this reason. I have attended the Austin Hospital Respiratory and Allergy Outpatient Clinic in Melbourne for years, getting tested. On one occasion, as I was tested for all of my allergens at once, I started to have an allergic reaction. I was then given high-dose antihistamines, which also contained all the excipients I later found out, and the reaction progressed into anaphylaxis. I was EpiPenned and stayed in the hospital to be monitored for 12 hours. This was not the last time I had an anaphylactic reaction at a doctor's hand, and not the last time I had to receive administered adrenaline. I always have an EpiPen on me and Ventolin for this reason too, even just to eat a meal. Since this, I have been given a medical alert card to show all other physicians of my severe allergies and to make sure anything prescribed or used on me is free from such. As I've gotten older, it seems as though these allergies have gotten worse and are being induced by more substances. I brought this all up with my GP, who has my documented history from Austin and other specialists, and raised my concern about receiving the vaccine due to this contraindication. It is stipulated on the Melbourne Vaccination Education Centre, or MVEC's website, that the only criteria for a permanent exemption are due to anaphylaxis following a previous COVID-19 vaccine dose or to any components of a vaccine. Temporary exemptions may be approved for some acute major medical illnesses where the COVID vaccine can be deferred for a certain amount of time. COVID vaccine exceptions can be administered by GPs, paediatricians, clinical immunologists, infectious disease, general or public health physicians, gynecologists, or obstetricians. As vaccine mandates continue to be implemented, it's crucial for employers, individuals, and medical providers to stay up to date with the ATARGI clinical guidance regarding the medical exemption criteria. My GP has said to me that she cannot issue a medical exemption due to liability and legalities surrounding issuing an exemption. Although it is stipulated, she can. She referred me to the Austin Respiratory Clinic to see an allergist yet again. They responded with a letter from the Infectious Disease Control Unit, I don't know why they're called that now, and said an appointment will be available within 12 to 24 months. So she made a second referral stipulating urgent, this is vaccine related, to the same clinic who now responds as the VICSIS, Victorian Specialist Immunisation Services. Spoke to the nurse who said, "Who diagnosed you with the PEGS allergy?" I responded with, "Your hospital did." She said, "Oh, really? Okay, I'll look into your file." Not sure why they didn't do that in the first place. They would have had my patient identification number on there. I've been going to that hospital for years. I've been an inpatient and outpatient. I've got a long history with them. She then said, "Okay, let's see if we can get you in here and how we can vaccinate you safely." I reiterated that I was seeking a medical exemption due to my allergies and high probability of cross-reactivity or potential reaction to another ingredient, as I have a condition that causes my mast cells to overreact, seeing most foreign substances as a threat, including hyperreactivity, i.e. anaphylaxis. She said, "Oh, our doctors don't give exemptions." What they do offer, though, is that you can get vaccinated in their care and they can administer adrenaline for anaphylaxis, although it is stipulated that anaphylaxis to any COVID-19 component is criteria for exemption and that a GP or clinical immunologist can administer this. I've tried to book in with a private allergist upon request of my pain specialist and am being told now that the wait is 11 months. It's a bit late when vaccination mandates are commencing in the state of Victoria within the next, tomorrow now. And nearly every occupation, including my own, are mandated to be vaccinated to work and participate in certain areas of society. I work in hospitality and events, and the concern isn't so much for the ability to go to Kmart, but it is to be able to make a wage to pay my bills and live, not to mention pay for my health bills and private health insurance, which I have done since I was 19 as someone who has a chronic health condition. This is not the only case of this. Like I mentioned before, just found out about the pregnant woman. I've reached out to others with the same predicament. One was told if she were not vaccinated by the mandated date, she will lose her job. The wait to see her allergist is 12 months, and the hospital mentioned to her that they can treat her for anaphylaxis, but not for COVID. I have heard this from another woman in the same boat, and also another woman who has lost her previous job, and her treating hospital could not find her recorded evidence of her condition, although her bill was paid and admission and discharge was present. That's another Melbourne hospital. The narrative has been get vaccinated to help protect those who can't. Constantly. I've heard it from a lot of my mates. However, us who can't are being forced to, so we can keep our jobs and be a part of society. Speaking up for us because it seems as though others who keep repeating the above phrase or believe that this is the case, I'm telling you it isn't. And no one is listening to us. The healthcare system and government are not honouring what they are saying or that is stipulated online and in the documents. We are the ones who seemingly can obtain a legal exemption, however we can't. We are being forced to risk severe injury, one that death is a potential and quickly induced reaction. If it were truly about our health, then we would not be coerced into taking a substance that would put us into anaphylactic shock. When did anaphylaxis become a minor health concern? I worked in an event company where we had a high patronage of children. We were not allowed to have peanuts in our lunches and signed an agreement for this as the potential that if we had residue on our hands and cross-contaminated an item, a child with anaphylactic peanut allergy could potentially be severely injured or worst case scenario, die. Not to mention as well, like none of us had done a first aid course. None of us actually were shown how to use an EpiPen. We didn't even know where the EpiPens were, if they were on site. I have one. I know how to use one. So if that did happen, I just stabbed the kid. But again, a lot of people don't know. I actually was stabbed once by a doctor who held his thumb on the top of the EpiPen. Anyone who knows how to use an EpiPen, you don't do that. He also pulled it out when he did work out how to use it. Again, you don't do that. So I had to get stabbed twice then, because the first time, basically, he just wasted my $110 EpiPen. To be sharing statements being broadcasted by, some of you may have heard this, such as, if it were up to me, no one would be exempt, is really frightening. That person clearly has never had a seemingly harmless magnesium supplement from Chemist Warehouse. Next minute was unable to breathe, see or speak. Was stabbed with adrenaline and rushed by an ambulance to emergency. I've always been my own health advocate and fought many times to remain alive despite some of the odds. I will not willfully put my body in harm's way, nor should I or anybody for that matter be expected to. That pretty much sums it up. Share this if you want. If you know anyone else, share it to them. Just trying to get it out there and be a little bit of a voice for us, I guess. Feel free to contact me if you like. I don't know if it's going to change anything, but, at least I'm saying my piece, and it just doesn't sit right with me just to sit back and go, okay, about all this for a multitude of reasons, but this is a big one. So anyway, have a nice day. At least the sun's out in Melbourne. Get your vitamin D in, because yeah, it'll keep you healthy. All right, see you guys. Bye.